Hello, beautiful people. Happy Friday and welcome to your astrological forecast for next week. And this one, of course, will be predominantly focused on the new moon in Aquarius, which we'll be experiencing exactly 1 week from today on Friday, the 9th of February. So I'm bringing this through today because actually yesterday we experienced Imbolc, which is the midpoint between winter solstice and spring equinox. Well, depending which hemisphere you are at, but this is the one I'm experiencing. So currently today on the 2nd of February 2-2 portal, we are closer to the spring equinox. So let's just dive into the new moon in Aquarius. But of course, as always, I'm going to name all the aspects that are taking place leading up to the new moon in Aquarius. This week was actually super quiet. There was nothing going on astrologically. It was the opportunity for integration of the energies that came through with the full moon in Leo, which we experienced last week. And the only thing that actually took place exact was the trine between Mars and Uranus on Monday, and today on Friday when I'm recording this we are experiencing the exact sextile between Mercury and Neptune, and this is the last sextile between the two before they'll have a conjunction in March. So at the end of this week, Sunday night, Monday morning, depending where you are in the world, Mercury will change sign. It will move into the sign of Aquarius, where Mercury will remain until 23rd of February. So it will be ready. It will change sign into the Pisces for the full moon in Virgo that Mercury will be the ruler of. Which will be on the 24th to 2024. But anyway, that's for another time. And another week, we are ending with moon in a mutable sign. So this, in this case, we will be ending this week with moon in the sign of Sagittarius and entering into new week with moon in the sign of Sagittarius. There will be one more week of this, mutable energy of moon, which will be the following weekend. And after that, moon will shift into cardinal signs at the beginning of the week. So anyway, as I mentioned, we are starting the week with moon in a sign of Sagittarius, and then on Monday will be actually a very busy day. We're going to be experiencing an exact square between Venus and Chiron. Let me just get all my notes together. I have them in two different places. So yeah, on Monday the 5th, Venus will make an exact square to Chiron. Venus, of course, is the ruler of the South Node, and Chiron is associated with the North Node, because Chiron is actually just about to have a conjunction with North Node later on this month, on February 19th. And the exact conjunction between Venus and Chiron will take place on April 21st. Then on the same day, Sun will make a sextile to Chiron, and the exact conjunction between Sun and Chiron will be on actually the solar eclipse in Aries, because the solar eclipse in Aries on April 8th will be conjuncting Chiron. So this is very interesting to pay attention to, and the fact that Venus and Sun are on the top of each other, making the same aspects to the same planets, we will see also the following day. And the third thing that will take place on Monday will be Mercury conjunct Pluto. So right after Mercury moves into the sign of Aquarius, Mercury will be the first one of the 3 personal planets making conjunction with Pluto. So this is ending a cycle that began between the two of us last year in February. The last time Mercury and Pluto had a conjunction was February 10th, 2023, but that took place still in Capricorn. It was on 28 degrees and 58 minutes of Capricorn. So this is the first conjunction between the two of them in the sign of Aquarius, and this of course is starting the cycle for the upcoming 20 years. So as I mentioned, this is the first one of the personal planet. We also have Mars and Venus conjuncting Pluto, but not until the week later. So on Tuesday, the 6th, moon will move into the sign of Capricorn, and Venus will square the nodes. So Venus had a conjunction with the South Node that she's the ruler of in November, late November, right after the full moon in Gemini. So that was on 27th of 11th, and Venus conjuncted South Node on 29th. So full moon in Gemini, we had the illumination of the choice, right? And then the Venus conjuncted South Node that she is currently the ruler of, and at the time in November, Pluto was squaring the nodes, and the South Node was the resolution with Venus the ruler. Now Venus is squaring the nodes, so she's the skip step. During the last lunation, the full moon in Leo, Mars and Mercury conjunction was the skip step. Now Venus is the skip step. and this is of course active even for the new moon in Aquarius. And Venus will conjunct North Node on April 17th. So as I mentioned, Sun is closely behind, so Sun is going to sextile, well, I mean aspect-wise, it's not, obviously, it's no longer in the same sign as Venus, but Sun will sextile North Node on the same day, on Tuesday, and this will be at 17 degrees 37 minutes, and Sun North Node conjunction will take place on 4/4. On the portal 4/4. On Wednesday, Venus will trine Uranus. So Venus in Capricorn, Uranus is in Taurus. Venus is the ruler of Uranus, because Uranus is in the sign of Taurus ruled by Venus, and the conjunction between the two will take place in May. And on the same day, Mars will sextile Neptune. Now this is very interesting because, of course, we always check what's going on with the two, because they are the rulers of the nodes. So Venus is the ruler of the south node, as we know. Mars is the ruler of the north node. Venus is trining Uranus, telling us we need to break free. We are approaching new moon in Aquarius, ruled by Uranus. And Mars, that is the ruler of the north node, is sextiling Neptune. This is again the last sextile between the two before the conjunction. The conjunction will take place in April, right after the full moon in Scorpio, the illumination of our sense of empowerment and disempowerment. And as I mentioned, Mars being the ruler of the North Node, sextiling Neptune. Neptune is the endings in Pisces. This is an indication of what it is that we need to let go of. On Thursday, Sun will square Uranus, 19 degrees 9 minutes, and the conjunction between the two will take place in May. And on the same day, Moon will move into the sign of Aquarius, starting to get ready for the new moon in Aquarius, which will take place the day later. And then on Friday is the day when we are going to be experiencing the new moon in Aquarius on 20 degrees 41 minutes, and I'm going to dive into it just in a moment. And then the following day, Saturday the 10th, Mercury will square Jupiter. So Mercury is in Aquarius, Jupiter, well, will be in Aquarius. Mercury is still in the sign of Capricorn when I'm recording this on Friday, but Mercury will move into Aquarius on Sunday night, Monday morning, depending where you are in the world. And so Mercury will square Jupiter next Saturday in a week's time, 8 degrees 23 minutes. And the conjunction between the two will take place in Gemini. They will no longer have a conjunction in April, because they will have a conjunction in June, and Jupiter will change signs at the end of May. So again, Gemini ruled by Mercury, the choice. We can see how there are some themes building up over here. Okay, and then we'll have Moon moving into the sign of Pisces on Saturday still. And this will be, as I mentioned, from what I can see, the last week in a row. I think it's the eighth week when we will be ending the week with the moon in a mutable sign and starting a new one. And then Moon will move into the sign of Aries on Monday the 12th. And then the story will continue again. On Tuesday 13th, Mars will move into Aquarius, and then it will have a conjunction with Pluto. So that's for another week, that's for another time, but we're going to dive really into these aspects, because as always, all these aspects are going to be present for the upcoming new moon in Aquarius, except for the today's Mercury sextile to Neptune, because the Mercury will be already far gone. It will be too far gone to count. But the things that I wanted to mention about this new moon in Aquarius, which is what I want to start with, let me just change the screen on my phone to the chart. So this is, of course, because you see, new moon, it's always the closing, the ending and the ending of a cycle that began at the conception last time, and beginning of a new cycle. So actually the last new moon in Aquarius we had on January 21st, 2023, and it took place on 1 degree 33 minutes of Aquarius, which means that it conjunct Pluto at the time still in Capricorn, 28 degrees 20 minutes, and it made sextile to Jupiter at that time still in Aries. So at the moment, now on the 9th of February, this cycle will end. So the important thing to mention with regards to the last new moon in Aquarius, apart from the fact that Pluto was in the sign of Capricorn, was that the nodes were in a different sign. In January 2023, the nodes were still in Taurus and Scorpio, South Node in Scorpio, ruled by Pluto. And also all the other planets, the main players, well, not all of them, but Saturn was still in a sign of Aquarius. Actually, interestingly to mention is that Saturn was almost on the same degree that we are experiencing the new moon now. Saturn was on 24 degrees of Aquarius, and this new moon is on 20 degrees of Aquarius. And at the time, Saturn was the ruler of Pluto. So also Jupiter at the time, as I just mentioned, was still in Aries. So it was a very different energy from the one we're experiencing now. So this cycle that began in January 2023 is ending now with this new moon in Aquarius, and a new cycle is beginning, and the cycle is going to be very different because Saturn is now in Pisces, Jupiter is in Taurus, and preparing to move signs again in the springtime. And there are very different aspects taking place, and the main one to mention, of course, is the square from Uranus. And Uranus is the ruler. Uranus is the ruler of this lunation of the upcoming new moon in Aquarius. And the interesting thing is that the full moon in Aquarius, which actually will take place on August 19, 2024, at 27 degrees 15 minutes, that one also will be squared by Uranus and opposed by Mercury retrograde at the time. So the difference is, just like we had with the last lunation and Jupiter square in it, that now this square from Uranus between the new moon in Aquarius and Uranus, it will be the first quarter square. Uranus will be in the first quarter square, so it's saying about need for taking action. Something needs to change. It's the crisis in consciousness. Something needs to shift. And then the full moon in Aquarius in summer in August will be the crisis in consciousness, because at the time Sun will be in the sign of Leo. So it will put Uranus behind the Sun, which will be the closing square, crisis in consciousness, something we will have to let go of in order to liberate ourselves. So again, it's interesting to pay attention that between now and the full moon in Aquarius, we'll have the two full moons in Capricorn. So we always have to note this underlying Capricornian theme, because this is all about breaking free from the external authority, because this is the theme of the year. This is the year 8, and the first lunation and last lunation of this year is a new moon in Capricorn. We have 4 lunations in Capricorn, and Saturn is in Pisces, and it will remain in Pisces until 2026 fully. So Saturn still has a lot of more dissolving to do for us for the next 2 years. And Saturn actually during this lunation, new moon in Aquarius, it's still in a sextile with Jupiter. And Jupiter is all about this expansion. Jupiter is ruled by Venus. Venus is the skip step. Venus is squaring the node, resolution the south node in Libra. What are the stories? What are the stories? I keep going on about the same thing, but it is so important to understand that really what we believe creates our reality. And most of what we believe doesn't come from us. Most of what we believe is a program, it's a conditioning, it's a belief system that we adopted from someone else. And we just think that it's true. We think that this is the only way it has to be. So actually this new moon is creating the kite formation again, even though it's not between the planets, but at the precipice of it is Juno retrograde in Virgo in opposition with Neptune, because we still have kind of the sextile, the roof going on between Neptune, Uranus and Pluto. Even though it's getting a little bit too far between Pluto and Neptune, because now Pluto is in Aquarius, so it's out of sign sextile. But anyway, this is just a complete side note that I just noticed looking at the chart. So the most important thing that's going on is the square to Uranus. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, as I mentioned, and Uranus is all about breaking free from the outdated pattern, is the decentralization of something that now became outdated. And also because Uranus, as I mentioned, is still it's kind of getting wide, to be a sextile to Neptune, but it is still kind of happening. So at the same time, as I mentioned, we have in this triple conjunction of the personal planets with Pluto. At the time of the new moon in Aquarius, the conjunction between Mercury and Pluto already will have happened, because it's happening on Monday and the new moon is on Friday. And then we will be getting ready for the conjunction between Pluto and Mars, which is on the Valentine's Day. And Mars, of course, ruler of the North Node, which is where we head in. The cycle of the 2 years between the two will be ending, new cycle will be beginning, and the same for Venus and Pluto. Venus as the ruler of the South Node, and then also Mars and Venus will have the conjunction, which exactly will take place on a 22-2. So we have all these portal numbers, and actually 9 and 2 makes number 11, which is the master number frequency. And added to the 8 is 19, which is number 1, right? Which is new beginning, and it is a new moon, which is seeding a new energy. What is this new energy? This is a completely different energy from the new moons in Aquarius before, because they were under influence of Pluto in Capricorn. This is the first one when Pluto is already in the sign of Aquarius, ruled by Uranus. Now Uranus is direct, all the planets are direct, so we're going ahead, we're going forward with this new energy that is being seeded, and we will see more, we will have more clarity with regards to what all this means in summer, because that will be after the 2 full moons in Capricorn, which are going to show us what got seeded for us at the beginning of the year with the January 11th new moon in Capricorn number 1, which is the theme of the year. We are redefining our reality based on what do you want to create it? What do you want it to? What do you want it to be? What reality do you want to create? Because literally we are entering the times where we are starting to understand the multidimensionality of who we are and our true power. We are starting to wake up to the understanding of who we truly are and how much power we have regarding the creation of our experience. Like, what are we experiencing is created by us. So what do we want to keep experiencing going forward? And with this new moon in Aquarius is kind of it's offering us an opportunity to see the intentions for these upcoming times, because this is a new moon in Aquarius with Pluto in Aquarius. It's not conjuncting the new moon, because the new moon is on 20 degrees, it's too far, but Uranus is squaring the new moon, and Uranus is the ruler of Pluto. So it's still associated, and Uranus is telling us about something that needs to change. We need to take an action on something. And what is it we need to take an action on? Well, Venus, as the ruler of Uranus, is just about to have a conjunction with Pluto, and she's still in Capricorn at this point. Venus is still in Capricorn, and Venus is still making a trine to Uranus. She's still within the trine of Uranus, even though the exact trine already took place by this point, but it's still valid. So Venus, the ruler of Uranus, is making a trine to Uranus, and Uranus is squaring the nodes, and Venus is in Capricorn, which is again saying that we need to take a responsibility and redefine what is the role that we really play in this reality. And it's not to be what we told, because Aquarius doesn't stand for it. Aquarius is all about liberation. Mercury is in Aquarius at this time. Mercury in Aquarius completely expands the vision we have, how we perceive reality. Like people with Mercury, people with natal Mercury in Aquarius, they can see the pattern, that their mind is so expansive, they can already see what the future can look like. It's completely different from for example, Mercury in Capricorn, because it's very ground down to earth. It's much more practical. It's much like, okay, when I see it, I believe it. With Mercury, it's the other way. It's like, I can see it in my mind, so I'm creating it. I don't need to see it in reality because I already have the vision. So Mercury, it's far from the new moon as well, but it's in a new phase conjunction with Pluto at this stage, which is telling about this new way of identifying reality. We need to see beyond. We need to go beyond everything that we known before, because this is a very different new moon, because it's the first one under the influence with Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. First new moon. Of course, we already had the full moon in Leo with Pluto in Aquarius, but this is the first new moon of 2024 with Pluto in the sign of Aquarius, and associated to the new moon because of the rulership with Uranus. So yes, so we have this melee of planets all around Pluto. Like I said, Mars and Venus still in a closing phase conjunction. Mars and Venus at this stage still in Capricorn. So what are we closing? We are closing the externalization of our power to the external authority, because Saturn is in Pisces. It no longer resonates. Saturn is making a positive aspect to Jupiter. Jupiter is ruled by Venus. Venus is in Capricorn. So we need to redefine what is the story. What is the story we tell ourselves about ourselves, that we don't have the power. We don't have the agency to make these choices and decisions, which then creates the reality we are experiencing, which then makes us believe the same thing, because we attract what we believe. We attract what we are in resonance with, not what we want. We don't attract what we want. We attract what we vibrate in the same frequential vibration with. So it has to be a frequency and vibrational match for that to be a connection. So it doesn't matter what we want. If we are not in alignment with that, which what we want, we're going to attract what we are in resonance with. So this is where this Aquarian energy, and this is where the Mercury in a new phase conjunction with Pluto in Aquarius, it's saying we need to think in a very different way. From now onwards, we need to change the way we perceive in reality, because otherwise we will keep recreating the same thing, the same pattern, the same tangible reality, which now lost meaning, which is the Saturn in Pisces. It lost meaning. As I was saying in my previous 2 videos, this reality that we've been experiencing for thousands of years, because we lost the truth of who we really are, divine being having a human experience with the unlimited potential, because we've lost this, because over the hundreds and thousands of years, people lost the connection with their soul because of the external conditioning, because of the Capricorn. But it's not to demonize Capricorn, because every sign has its polarity. It's got this like immature way of behaving, like, you know, even with Pluto, it could be this power hungry and this need for manipulation and control and stuff, which comes from fear. It comes from unresolved trauma, which is why Pluto is all about shadow work and digging deep and metamorphosis. You turn that which is making you feel disempowered into your power, into your strength. So going with the Capricorn theme, it's not to demonize Capricorn and say, oh yeah, Capricorn is the government, it's just the structure and stuff, because these things played their role. They play their role to help us grow and evolve. But now we go to the point in our evolution as a human collective where this is no longer not necessarily needed or necessary, but the way it is in place right now, it's outdated. It doesn't support us on our path of evolution anymore, because Saturn is in Pisces. And Saturn is making positive aspect to Jupiter, and Jupiter is the storyteller. Jupiter is the perception of reality. It's the opportunity to expand as a soul, to go and explore new horizons and learn the truth. Like, what is your truth in this subjective form that you have, because truth is mutable, and also what is this universal truth? You know, for example, like you being a divine being having a human experience, which is the universal truth, because we are all divine beings. Obviously, it depends on a filter whether you believe it or not, right? The Jupiter is in Taurus. It's up to what matters to you, right? So we have this, as I said, this cluster of planets. Of course, there is a stellium in Aquarius, Pluto, Mercury, Sun and the Moon as the new moon. They are all in Aquarius, and Mercury and Pluto being in a closing phase now to the Sun. But with regards to Mars and Venus, it's still connected, even though the two are still in Capricorn. So it's showing us that, okay, what did we learn throughout Saturn's transits through Aquarius during the past 2 years until last spring, so 2021 2022. I believe it might have started in 2020. I wasn't so much into astrology back then, so I don't actually have the exact date. I didn't write it down, but the last 2 years, because Saturn usually stays in one sign for 2.5 years, and Saturn moved into the sign of Pisces in March 2023. So what did we learn, especially throughout 2021 and 2022, with regards to what is outdated, what no longer serves us, especially when it comes to the external authority telling you how to live your life. Because with the Aquarian qualities, it's all about sovereignty. You were born to be free. You were born to be who you are. You weren't born to be told who you should be, or what you should need, or how you should act, and what your purpose should be. This is completely, against Aquarian quality, because Aquarius is all about individuation. It's in opposition with Leo, just like we had the last full moon in Leo, which gave us the illumination of who we are becoming. Because we are not the same people we were in August last year. We are not the same people we were in January 2023, when we had the last new moon in Aquarius, with Pluto still in Capricorn and Saturn in Aquarius. Now Pluto is in Aquarius and Saturn is in Pisces. It's a very different energy. And like I said, Jupiter was still in Aries, now is in Taurus, and the nodes were in a completely different sign. And actually Venus both Venus and Saturn were in Aquarius in a new phase to the new moon, and Venus was in a closing to Saturn, and now Venus is the skip step, squaring the nodes, pointing to the south node. At the time, Venus was the ruler of the north node. We were reevaluating, we had the opportunity to reevaluate what really matters to you and what is your relationship towards yourself. And now Venus is the one squaring the node. She's the skip step, pointing to her own south node ruled by herself, and saying that, okay, we need to create some balance over here. We need to create the sense of equality and fairness, which is never going to come if there is a hierarchical system. If there is someone on the top, this Capricorn, telling that, oh, this is what you need to do. It's about everybody needs to become their own Capricorn. Everybody needs to be their own authority and make the decisions that are right for them, because this is unique to each and every person. And of course, as I was talking before, Capricorn comes together as a pair with Cancer. And Cancer is your inner world, is your moon. This is a new moon in Aquarius. So you are birthing a new connection towards yourself, where you don't actually need someone else to make you feel nurtured. You have to give it to yourself, because otherwise, if we want someone else to do it for us, it's not like we don't need other people in our reality, but if we depend on someone else, you will always feel like a child. You will always feel disempowered, is the Cancer Capricorn thing. It's like we need to nurture and reparent ourselves so we feel strong to take charge of our life, to be the authority in order to feel free. Because after Capricorn is Aquarius, the only way to get to Aquarius is through Capricorn. So we need to embody the energy of, yes, I'm in charge of my life and I'm taking the responsibility for the choices I make and whatever consequences come from it, because I'm doing it from the point of view that, that I trust myself, I trust my inner guidance, is the opposition to Cancer, which is embodying your own intuition. And with this new moon in new moon in Aquarius is taking it to the next level. Because it's saying, okay, when you trust yourself and you understand the truth that you are the creator of your reality, suddenly you're free. Because you know that nobody else is creating the reality for you, you're free. But with this Mercury being in a new phase to Pluto and closing phase to the new moon, how many people really believe that? Because with Mercury in Aquarius, it's saying you need to believe it before you can see it. You need to be that. You need to rewire the way you identify reality, the way you think. Because now Mercury, at the time of this new moon, will be in a new phase conjunction to Pluto. This is a brand new cycle. Last time they had a conjunction in Capricorn. This is the first time they had a conjunction in Aquarius. So this is a brand new cycle beginning, which is saying, and it's 11:11 again as I'm saying this. This is saying that we need to start thinking in a completely new way, in a way that is outside of the box, way that is different from what we were being told by the external authority. You need to think for yourself. But because, like I said, Mercury is in a closing phase conjunction with this Aquarius, there are a lot of things that we are needing to let go of, which is this Uranus in Taurus, because Uranus is the ruler of all of these planets. And Uranus is the one squaring this Aquarius new moon, which is saying crisis in action. We need to take an action. What do we need to take an action on? Again, we go to the ruler, Venus. Venus is the ruler. Where is Venus? Venus is in Capricorn, in a closing phase conjunction with Pluto. It's like literally just going back to Capricorn, which is like, what is the definition of your worth? What is the definition of who you really are? Because it all goes back to the same thing. It's just like you create what you believe. If you don't believe you're able to do that, if you don't believe that you have the agency, if you don't believe you are in charge, then that's what you're creating. And you will find more and more proof that that is the truth, that is your truth, because truth is mutable. Truth is continuously changing. If you start believing that, yes, I'm creating my reality, like in my life, and I'm going to be sharing this in my practical application of astrology during the weekend, it's ridiculous how instant manifestation is real. Like literally instant manifestation is happening right here, right now. Like everything that you're thinking, or just like, oh yeah, I wanted this and this, and then next thing you see it, you manifesting it. Instant manifestation is real. It's not just a woo-woo, just pay attention. And that's why it is very important to be aware of what are your thoughts and your beliefs, because you manifesting it very quickly. You finding the proof of whatever you believe very quickly. So literally it's so interesting how all these things are pointing to the same thing, which is just this jumping from Capricorn to Aquarius and then to this Taurus, right? Because Taurus is all about you. It's all about, like, it all starts from you, how much you trust yourself, your connection to yourself. And actually this moon itself is trining the south node, which is saying that, oh yeah, we've gone a long way, you know, since the sun conjunct the south node in Libra season. And now we are at the trine, which is this, like, wanting to break free, you know. It's like this is, with regards to the node and the sun, is the first trine, the waxing gibbous, right? Waxing big gibbous, that it's time to put it into action, because then is the opposition, then is the illumination point. So it's like you have enough knowledge, you have enough understanding to know what you need to do, because enough time has passed since October, since the new moon solar eclipse in Libra. Enough time has passed since we already had the new moon, full moon in Leo. Enough time has passed. We are just about to have a full moon in Virgo at the end of the month on 24/2/2024. I have to keep mentioning that because I'm getting a big kick out of it, about all of the numerology. And that is about the learning and adjusting. There is this sneaky Virgo energy that is permeating through the entire year, because we start in the year with moon in a sign of Virgo. Mars was in a sign of Virgo when it became the ruler of the North Node. And it's this energy is coming with us, you know, this continuous learning and adjusting, because it's the hero's journey. We are going to encounter more challenges, because overcoming these challenges makes us trust ourselves, because between Virgo and Taurus you have a trine. If the universe doesn't test you, how would you know what you're capable of? Because this is how we learn about our resiliency, our self-sufficiency. This is how we learn to trust ourselves, how we learn to love ourselves more, because of everything that we've gone through. And this is what I always say to my client. Whatever you've gone through in your life, you're here to tell the story, which means that, you know, you've done well. You can survive. You can survive everything, because whatever took place in your life, you're still here to tell the story. There is something within you that is so powerful that help you overcome all these obstacles. And this is how it will go throughout this year. We will have more experiences where we can take our power back through overcoming these challenges, integrating the lessons, and then trusting ourselves more, because there is yet another lesson we passed, right? So this is something I'm still tapping into, this underlying Virgo thing. Oh yeah, well, of course, it's the opposition to Juno retrograde in Virgo. And yeah, what else is going on? So yeah, so like I said, this actual lunation is trining the south node and sextiling the north node, because the sun is now coming closer to the north node, getting ready for the conjunction, which, like I said, is on 4/4 portal. 4/4 portal will have the sun and the North Node conjunction, which is just before the Aries solar eclipse. So this is definitely supporting us, this Aquarian energy is supporting us to resolve this south node, the resolution node that was, you know, well, it's still activated by the skip step at the moment. The skip step is Venus. Before it was Pluto, then it was the new moon in Capricorn, then it was Mercury and Mars at the full moon in Leo, and now it's Venus, because Venus is the one tidying up the mess behind everyone, but this time Venus is the ruler, and Venus is in Capricorn. So by pointing to the south node and saying that, well, we cannot externalize the power to look up to someone else to make us feel balanced and at peace and secure, because now we need to do it ourselves. And this south node is making a trine to this Aquarius new moon, which is saying, yes, it's time to break free. It's time to actually understand that this is what you came here to do. This is what you came here to become, to actually embody the quality of you being the free sovereign being and having the full agency and the ability to create the reality that you want to be experiencing. Yeah, there always will be things happening outside of us that's part of the collective experience, but to which extent that will impact you is up to you, right? Which again, with the Mercury in a closing phase is saying, yeah, but where is the proof? Where is the proof, you know? But you need to believe it to see it, right? Because in the Aquarius, it's beyond what we can see. It's beyond Capricorn. Capricorn is the last visible planet. Uranus is in Taurus, so what Uranus is doing is bringing us all the triggers. It's bringing us all the stuff from the subconscious to conscious, so we can see it, and then we can resolve it, because Saturn, which is the reality, is in Pisces. So we are now being able to come across all these old trauma and unresolved things, and we can see them in a tangible form, so we can decide, okay, is this still serving me? Does this still hold a meaning? Is this still a lesson that I need to learn, or can I let it go? And of course, we'll be entering into Pisces season after this. So that will be the opportunity for this big letting go, yeah? So with the Aquarius, it's just showing us what is outdated and what it is that we will need to let go of. And then, of course, we're coming closer and closer to the North Node Chiron conjunction. As I mentioned, it's happening on the 19th, so only 10 days later, and right on time just before the full moon in Virgo. And this one, new moon in... it is squared by Venus, right? It is still squared by Venus. Yeah, Venus is still squaring Chiron. Yes, because this is what we start in the week with, Venus Chiron square. And at the time of this new moon, Venus still will be squaring Chiron, but it's already, like dissipating. It's on the other side of the square, so it's not so much tension anymore. But it's the same thing. Venus is squaring the nodes, she's a skip step, and she's squaring Chiron at the same time, and Chiron is connected to the new direction, to this wounding that is preventing us from trusting ourselves, because we externalize the power to the external authority. So we said that, no, how can I trust myself? I don't know enough. I don't know anything. I need to trust this other person. They are the expert. However, as we already declared with the full moon in Leo, nobody knows you better than you know yourself. Nobody can know what is the purpose of your life. Only you know. So there is no one who can really give you the right answer. The answer has to come from within you. That's why this Saturn and Jupiter, they sextile each other. They support each other. Jupiter is supporting Saturn. And Jupiter, Uranus, again, are ruled by Venus. Venus is the skip step pointing to the south node. It's no longer a time in our history where we can look up to someone else and say, no, yeah, you're going to save me. You're going to save me. You're going to sort out all my problems, and I don't have to worry no more. I can just check out and watch Netflix. This is not going to happen it can happen, if that's the reality you want to be experiencing, but this is not the reality that is being supported in Aquarius age, because in Aquarius age it is all about sovereignty and stepping into our own power by experiencing reality in a very different way, which also, as I was talking about in my last video with the heart consciousness, it's about experiencing reality from the place of heart, because with Aquarius and Leo, there is an opposition and there has to be a balance. It's not about complete detachment and oh yeah, I'm an alien, I don't belong here. But it's this okay, what is this? What is the connection? Because Aquarius represents the networks, right? The networks of people, the communities. So it's about, okay, what is the thing that is actually connecting us? Because there is much more that is connecting us, that is dividing us. So how can we find this bond, this something, this thread that is going to help us see one another in our unique, authentic divinity, right? In this, your individuated self, you can show your purpose, what did you come here to do, and not be judged for it. Because Aquarius, it's about the equality, it's two parallel lines. So it's it doesn't matter who you are and what you came here to offer. You have the right to be exactly that. You don't have to become someone else, because that again will come from somebody else telling you what is, their belief system, what are their needs and values. So with this Aquarius new moon is seeding this energy for seeing yourself for who you uniquely are. And it's interesting that, of course, we'll have the full moon in Aquarius after the new moon in Leo, because of the two full moons in Capricorn, things will switch again. So again, it will be as it normally is, new moon and then full moon, not full moon and then new moon. So so things will be corrected in July, and then August we already will have a new moon in Leo, and after that we'll have the full moon in Aquarius. So there will be a seeding of a new energy, but before that we'll have that will be seeded first, but we'll have the illumination at the same time of what is being seeded right now, which is this brand new energy of living a completely different type of life on this planet. We are entering the times where it's no longer going to be how it used to be, even though we are in the transitionary period, so it will take time for things to change. like on the outer reality. But that's why Mercury is in a new phase conjunction with Pluto, saying you have to have the vision, you have to have the trust, you have to trust yourself more than you trust anyone else in this world, because all that matters is what is inside you, what you believe, because whatever you believe you manifest. And as we go more and more into the future with the times, we all will be living in our own realities, potentially completely different timelines. They are saying that we might not even see one another anymore, if you are in a different timelines. Now everything is mixed together, but if once the frequency rises too high and not everybody will be able to match that frequency, then people really will be experiencing a very different realities. At the moment, thanks to media and stuff, we all know what's going on everywhere. But how long this is going to be the case, who knows? Perhaps in the future we will not know what is going somewhere else if that's not in alignment and frequency match to what we are experiencing. So who knows? This is what I mean. We are entering into unprecedented times. This is a new moon. We are not yet to know, but we know that we feel that there is a new energy being seeded, and it's telling us that it's no longer about externalizing your destiny, in a sense, to expect someone else to make you feel something, like to make you feel free, to make you feel sovereign, to help you to understand your purpose. Of course, there are people, especially people who are in resonance with who you are, that can help you to tap into your own powers by creating the safe space and not wanting to change you. But how often this is the case, right? With the Venus in a closing phase with Mars being the ruler of the North Node. North Node is saying about leadership qualities, about being brave to go in this new direction. Yes, if you are the only one in your family, then so be it. Somebody needs to be the one to change the pattern. And for every family, it's someone. In my family, it's me. So anyway, so we have this positive aspect between the new moon and the nodes. And then, as I mentioned, we have the North Node and Chiron conjunction becoming exact on the 19th. Mars is sextile in Neptune, Venus is sextile in Neptune. So this is supporting the process of what are we letting go of, because Neptune is in Pisces. So Mars and Venus gave a form to, because they're rulers of the South and the North Node, they gave the form of that, which do you want to experience, what it is that you want to create and what it is that you want to dissolve. Because Saturn transforms into formless and formless into form. Saturn still is the ruler of both Venus and Mars, so it's saying you decide, you define what it is that you want to dissolve with Saturn in Pisces, and what it is that holds a meaning for you and you take it with you into the future. What it is that you just define, you discovered, because Mars and Mercury had a conjunction in Capricorn, remember? And that gave us an opportunity to redefine, to see things clearer, because previously Mars and Mercury had a conjunction in Sagittarius with Mercury retrograde. Now Mars and Mercury last weekend, by the time of this new moon, it will be almost 2 weeks prior, they had a conjunction in Capricorn. So Mercury passed on the information that it accumulated throughout this retrograde to Mars once more. And now it's like, okay, we can now identify what it is that needs to lose form, because it no longer holds a meaning with the Saturn in Pisces, and what it is that we discover holds a meaning, so we want to give it a form. We want to take it with us into the future with the North Node in Aries. We want to manifest it. We want to step into this unknown and create a different reality for ourselves, reality where we are perceiving our experience through our heart consciousness, when we understand that we are all connected, that there is much more that connects us than separates us, because in essence we are all human collective and we are wired very similarly as a humans. We all have the basic needs and all that. Like, of course, your belief system, your purpose, all that is unique to you, the piece of the puzzle that you contribute into the full picture is unique to you. But in the essence of the human prototype, we are very similar, right? So when we look at it from that perspective, like, okay, if we put it on mute and we forget about all this belief system, and people cannot, say like, oh yeah, you're wrong, or this and this and this, when we actually try to feel with our heart. It's actually quite interesting, because when I came to Mexico last year, this is just a side note, a personal experience to help people understand. When I came to Mexico last year, I spoke no Spanish whatsoever. I still don't speak much Spanish now, but I spoke zero, like nada. And I went to this like a spiritual circle, this meeting, and most people spoke Spanish. Nobody spoke English, very little English. I spoke no Spanish. And they were talking their experience. And then this one person that spoke very little English, she said, listen with your heart. You don't need to understand with your ears. Just listen with your heart, because we're tapping into the frequency. We don't need to necessarily hear the story, because the story is unique to the person and their interpretation. What we need to understand is the resonance, is the frequency, is that Aquarian new energy, which is like, it doesn't matter what somebody is saying, because these stories, you know, the Mercury and the Jupiter that are squaring each other. Is it the square, right? That's happening? Yes, on Saturday. Yeah, 2 days later. Exactly. Sorry, I need to bring my phone back to life. So this square, this Mercury and Jupiter, what people are saying and what they believe in, that is always changing, because both Gemini and Sagittarius are mutable sign. So during this lunation, there is this square between Mercury and Jupiter coming into exact on Saturday. So the day later, Mercury and Jupiter square is exact. And this is the last quarter square, preparing them for their conjunction in June, just before the new moon in Gemini, actually. And it will take place in Gemini already. So this is saying that we no longer, again, can just rely on like, oh yeah, you know, this tangible thing. It's like, listen with your heart, because what people are saying, what they're thinking, what they believe in can always change. But the frequency of your heart doesn't change. Well, I mean, you know, your heart always tells you the truth. Of course, like, you know, like depending what you feel, like, you know, you might feel sad or whatever, like that is, you know, shifting. But your heart is always true. It always will tell you the truth. So it is really, if we listen with our hearts, not with our ears, we might get a completely different message. Because, for example, when you hear somebody being, I don't know, being angry and being whatever, like, yes, you know, it's important to set boundaries, because you don't let other people to abuse you. But that the heart will tell you that, okay, well, why is this person behaving this way? You know, so at the same time as putting a boundary, having a compassion, not going like, oh, this person is, you know, this and this and this, and putting more labels, more Mercury on that, but saying like, okay, what is the heart saying? Like, well, what this person must have gone through, maybe they, you know, like, it's the same thing, like when you're driving and, you know, somebody cuts you off and stuff, and it's like the first reaction is like, oh my God, that a-hole and stuff, you know, and like going into, you know, anger and being all, you know, annoyed about the situation. And then you don't know whether that person, maybe their wife is giving a birth, or somebody's, you know, whatever happened. We don't know the story. So that's why it's always important to ask the heart, like, okay, how does this feel, you know? And this is the thing, this is the new frequency, you know, with this Mercury conjunction with Pluto, and Mercury, you know, of course, it's opposing the Leo point, right? Mercury is almost opposing the same place where the full moon in Leo was, because it was on 5 degrees, Mercury is on 7. So it's saying that, yes, there have to be the balance, and there also has to be the vision, you know. So this is what I really feel, this is what I'm really tapping into, is the message that we are entering the times where, yes, we are invited to step into our sovereignty and take responsibility and become, you know, true to ourselves. Like what it is that you feel is the right thing for you, what it is that is the right purpose for you, and of course having the courage to go after it, even if it's against the odds, even if no one else will understand or support you. If your intuition is telling you that this is the right way forward, then that is the right way forward. You don't need 10 people to confirm it for you, because if your heart is saying like, yeah, I cannot explain this, but this is what I feel I need to do, do it. Because what's the worst thing that can happen? You will learn a lesson and say like, oh yeah, it didn't work out. You know, obviously it's different if it involves other people, and then other people might, you know, get damaged. But if it's your own personal experience, like for example, changing a job or something, then do it. You know, what do you have to lose? So anyway, like I said, that, you know, with this square between Jupiter and Mercury, which is becoming exact the day later, it's saying that, well, it's no longer just about what we can see, you know, with the senses. Jupiter in Taurus, you know, like what are we fixated on? That this is what it looks like, it must be this. But is it? You know, because sometimes we have to tune in Like I said, if you don't speak the language, you don't always have to speak the language. You understand the energy. Like, okay, what's going on here? Do I feel good in this energy or not good? Do I feel like it's a threat, or do I feel peaceful? So many times, like even when we listen to mantras and stuff that are in Hindu, I mean, unless you speak Hindu, I don't, we don't understand exactly what's going on in these mantras, but we feel good, it's got a positive impact. So we listen with the heart will tell you the truth, right? So yeah, so anyway, so to wrap it all down, this because 50 minutes later, right? There are a lot of things that are being activated at the moment. Like I said, a lot of things are still in place, like the Venus trine to Uranus, for example, as I mentioned, because Venus, being the ruler of the South Node square in the nodes, being the skip step, and Uranus being the ruler of the new moon, the Venus is being in Capricorn, just about to conjunct both Pluto and Mars. The Mars and Venus conjunction will happen after the Pluto conjunctions between Mars and Pluto and Venus and Pluto. So the new cycles will begin. But in this case, Venus trine the Uranus being in Capricorn, it's saying like, yes, we have to redefine things. We have to decide what it is that we want to be experiencing, what it is that we're letting go of, what it is that we want to break free from. Because it's up to you. It's always been. And with this new moon in Aquarius, this is really what I feel is being seeded for us to start perceiving the reality in a very different way, which is this new phase with Mercury, to start experiencing the world in a very different way, and to start embodying this understanding that you will not necessarily have the proof and the tangible experience readily there available, because sometimes this is what the future will be. We need to tune in. We need to tap into the energy before we can manifest the energy. So what energy are we seeding for the upcoming month, years, right? Because Aquarius, we are in the age of Aquarius, Pluto is in Aquarius. So what is the energy we seed in? Because we have the totality of understanding what it is that we don't want to experience anymore. We had the opportunity to learn that throughout the 2021, 2022, when Saturn was in Aquarius. We became very aware. It became very tangible to us. Saturn again turned something into physical manifestation, and it was the Aquarian energy. We became very aware of where we maybe don't feel free. Maybe we don't feel like, oh, I cannot be true to myself, I cannot be authentic. So now Saturn in Pisces, it's saying like, okay, well, you can let it go now. You can close these chapters, you can close these cycles, but also the way we're gonna do it is becoming aware what brought us there, right? That's also the trine between Uranus and Venus. It's becoming tangible, it's becoming real. All these traumas, all these blockages, all this unhealed stuff that needs to be made tangible so it can be redefined, it can be healed. Because as I keep saying, if something is being created from our subconscious mind, then we cannot really change it until we become aware of it. We become aware of what is the pattern, and we become aware of like, okay, this is the result of that pattern. So that's why universe will always present us with the same opportunities, with the same lessons, so we can make a new choice under all circumstances and change it, right? And this is what the Venus pointing to the South Node as the ruler of the South Node, being the skip step in Capricorn, just before her conjunction with, Pluto and Mars. This is what she's saying. We want to go in this new direction. We want to break free and liberate ourselves. But what it is that we're resolving, and what we're resolving is this externalization of our power. That was actually what Pluto was trying to help us understand for the entire past year. Yes, we feel disempowered. Why do we feel disempowered? Because we still believe there is someone outside of us that is creating our reality. Like so many people feeling in despair, and they feeling they really feeling that it's over, the world is going to shit and it's over, because there is someone else, some entity that is going to cause a lot of damage to all of us, and that's it, right? But in essence, nobody can do nothing to you. Like, yeah, there will be challenging situations for all of us, for sure, for sure. We all will be going through ups and downs and roller coasters, because we are in a very transitionary period. And the only way we're going to learn who we really are and what we are and are not capable of experiencing and overcoming is to have that experience, like not always in the in the same shape or form. Obviously, what we're going to experience, it depends on each and every single one of us, but it's not just going to all switch happily and easily, because then we wouldn't learn anything, and that is not really what Pluto supports. Pluto is all about acceleration, evolution. Pluto is in Aquarius. It's saying, okay, now we are on an accelerated path to learning how to be sovereign, to learn to trust ourselves, because Uranus is still in Taurus until 25-26, and that could happen, take place, take shape in many different ways. But at the moment we're trying to identify what it is that brought us here, but at the same time we see it in this new energy that is showing us what is possible, but we need to let go of that which is holding us back, all these blockages of the past that are still creating our reality from the subconscious, which is why do we feel afraid? Why do we feel paralyzed? Because we don't feel safe and secure. Well, why not? Well, because there is a disconnection from our higher self. If we really had this, and I'm still working on it myself, I'm not saying I have it figured out, like, I still, doubt and feel insecure and feel, sometimes in a fear and whatever. But if we learn to reconnect to our true self, which is our higher self, when we create the bridge between the ego mind and the higher self, because the ego has its role. Being a human in a physical form, the ego keeps us safe, it helps us to survive, but it needs to be in alignment with the higher self, with our purpose, because otherwise we become paralyzed in this, like, oh, let's just keep in this box, because everything outside of it is not safe, it's not it's scary, it's unknown, which is this. It has to be a balance between Cancer and Capricorn. Like, we need to feel safe within to be able to feel safe without, to be able to feel safe in the external world, and to trust that you will always be supported, you will always be provided for, you will be always safe. But the sense of safety has to come from within. It will never come from without, because if we trust something external of us to keep us feel safe always, that when that thing is not there, we will not feel safe. And again, this is not in alignment with Pluto and Aquarius quality. So that's why when we learn to reconnect with the true essence of who we are, with our inner guidance, with the unlimited potential of our soul, because our soul is unlimited and it's always been there, it's still there, it's never gone anywhere, we just not connected. That's why people feel scared, that's why they feel afraid, that's why they feel disempowered, because they don't believe that their soul is unlimited and powerful and can help them to attract everything that they need to well, not just survive, but to thrive. Because like, in essence, yes, we came here to learn lessons, but universe loves you, like your soul loves you, of course, like it's you, so why it would like you to have just a horrible life, or full of suffering? Well, this is maybe that we are attracting into our experience, so we can learn, how to create the opposite. Like, okay, I had enough of this, or I had enough of this abuse. I'm going to learn to love myself and stand up for myself, and I'm not going to stand for this anymore. And then universe say, okay, this person learned a lesson. Now let's attract, let's give them something different that they will be in resonance with. So this is what I mean when we really learn to understand and see beyond the Capricorn, see beyond the program, see beyond what we were being told, see beyond of what we were being conditioned to believe about ourselves and the world around us, the world we are experiencing and co-creating together. If we are able to see beyond and look at things from the higher perspective and then ground it back to earth, to be able to create it and embody it, there is nothing to be afraid of. There is nothing to be afraid of, because in essence, you will never die. You will never die. We all change the form, and I'm not saying it makes it okay, like now that, okay, well, then it doesn't matter if I die. No, but when people overcome this fear of death and this fear of mortality, then life will start feeling very different. It will start feeling very different, because suddenly we will start enjoying life. But as I was being taught with regards to Scorpio archetype, in order for you to really be able to live, you need to experience what is death. It doesn't have to be the exact, like, loss of life, but loss of something, because every time, if we lose a relationship or a job, something within us, we feel like died, something has been removed, it's been taken away. So when we truly understand that actually nothing ever can be taken away from your soul, your soul as the totality is just our perception of reality, our tangible experience, because of these senses, because of this Jupiter in Taurus. Jupiter is expanding, everything is touching. So right now it's expanding this belief system. What are the belief system? That's why they're becoming so tangible, they're becoming so real. This is what's being expanded, so we can redefine them, so we can change them. Venus as the ruler is still in Capricorn. She's going to have a conjunction with Pluto. She's going to want to go beyond and free herself, which is saying everything we are experiencing in this tangible reality is a result of our thoughts and beliefs. It's not the other way around. It's not the other way around. It's not like, yeah, I see it, so now it's my truth. No, that has to be your truth in order for you to attract this experience, and then you decide if it's your truth or not. We are living in an energetical universe. It's all about vibration, frequency, and energy. And this new moon in Aquarius is seeding that understanding that we as a human collective are shifting the way we're going to be experiencing life on this planet. It is not going to be the same as it's been for thousands of years prior. But then, of course, there is nothing new under the sun. Everything that's happening already happened, maybe not with the same details, and everything that will happen already happened before, when there were the ancient civilizations, right? Atlantis, Lemuria, all of those. So we have the opportunity, again, as a human collective, to transcend, to transform, transmute, and transcend the limitations of just the physical reality and have a completely different experience on this planet. But in order to do that, we need to start redefining how this world really is built, how it really operates. And if we still feel afraid by what's going on, and it's a natural human reaction, it's not about bypassing and saying, oh yeah, I'm not afraid of anything. Of course, we need to be afraid of something, because then ego keeps us protected, but it's about balance. Yes, I understand, why am I afraid? I heard this news, it's not great news, okay, whatever. But what does this mean? What is this trying to help me to understand? What is the lesson? What is the opportunity for growth in this experience? We need to shift. We need to embody all these different concepts at the same time and hold it all, because what you see, what you perceive is not all there is. There is an unlimited potential of what everything it could be, but we need to see beyond. We need to go beyond. I don't know if I'm explaining this properly, if I'm able to bring this energy into the tangible, grounded. But that's, to me, literally what this represents. There are all these aspects, and like I said, I named them all, most of them, I'm sure there is more, which is just showing us the same thing, this culmination of the previous stories. We are going into the brand new territory, brand new direction, but alongside with creating this new behind the veil, we are transcending the old by understanding what created it, how does it work, what it is, and even all these things that are happening in the world that are scary and atrocious, and all sorts of objectives and superlatives you can add in front of that. Even this serve purpose. What is the purpose? To help us understand that this is not the reality we want to keep recreating. But we created it, otherwise it wouldn't be here, otherwise it wouldn't be here. So we need to learn to create a different reality by accepting that, okay, if I created this, what other I can create, and stop giving our energy to the energy we don't want to create anymore. Stop focusing on these things that are making you afraid and scared, because you don't want to keep recreating it. Focus on the things that you want to create, because we only have this amount of life force available every day. So how are we using it? Which again then will take us back to the same rabbit holes. What do we consume? How do we use our energy, our prana? Because we are creators, we are powerful manifestors. But a lot of things that we are experiencing have been created from the subconscious mind, unconsciously, because we don't understand how these things work, because we weren't being told. But now with this Aquarian new moon, there is a seeding of this absolutely new reality that will become more and more tangible the more people will start visioning it, that the more people will start understanding this energy, frequency, vibration, and start focusing on that, then eventually that will become the Capricorn, that will become the reality. We will give a form to it, but we need to see it before, we need to believe it before we see it. And at the moment, what we can see is the manifestation of what we believed before. And that's what manifested. So we need to redirect our energy and focus onto that which we want to manifest. So rather than to give all our energy to fear and despair and anxiety, we need to start holding both. Like, okay, yes, the human animal, our brain, our ego is trained to focus on these things. Okay, we are not bypassing and gaslighting ourselves by feeling like saying, no, I'm not feeling anything. Like, it's good to feel because emotions are giving us messages. There is always a learning in that. But at the same time, we need to be able to refocus and focus on that which you do want to create. Don't give all your power to the things that you don't want to create, because then we contribute into creating more of that. So anyway, I'm just getting lost here in all these rabbit holes, and probably lost most of the people, and I'm over an hour now, so I need to end. But yeah, all in essence, I do hope that this, holds a meaning to someone, that it will help people to understand. And yeah, like I said, this is all in action. It doesn't matter which planet and which aspect you look at, the energy will be the same. Because the energy of this new moon in Aquarius is birthing this new energy that we are entering into, which potentially we will have much more clarity in August about, because that will be also after the 2 full moons in Capricorns. And that's something that will give form to something. So anyway, so that's it, guys. I'm gonna leave it at that. I covered it the best I could with what I could offer at the moment today, with the moon being still in a sign of Scorpio, because this is how we entered the month of February. So this is going to be a very transformative month. And yeah, the energies definitely are very potent. And as we just had a breather this week with very little astrological aspects, things, as you can see, are just about to heat up and start building up the energy to manifest these seeds of a creation for this Aquarian experience that will become more and more tangible as the time goes on, and more people choose that reality over the reality that is coming to its end. Okay, guys, I wish everybody a beautiful weekend, nice new week, and a great new moon in Aquarius. Seed your intentions. Much love, everyone. Bye for now.